Brighton, a lively seaside city known for its vibrant nightlife, bustling bars, and rich cultural scene, hides a darker, more mysterious side beneath its modern charm. Behind the cheerful facade lies a tapestry of ghostly tales, weaving through its narrow streets and forgotten corners where history and the supernatural intertwine. Among these haunting legends, 3 stand out above the rest: the Blue Nun, the Hangman of Hangleton, and Black Belly. Each one tells a chilling story of love, betrayal, and vengeance that lingers long after the sun sets. Picture a sorrowful nun with a blue, lifeless face wandering through the medieval lanes of Brighton, her silent anguish echoing through the cobblestones. Imagine the menacing figure of a hangman peering into homes from the shadows of Hangleton Road, his ghostly presence a grim reminder of the executions that once defined the area. Or, perhaps most terrifying of all, the angry specter of Black Belly, whose bloated form and blood-curdling screams have haunted the area surrounding Churchill Square shopping center for decades. These are not just stories whispered over pints at the pub. They are sightings, experiences, and encounters passed down through generations, etched into the city's very fabric. In this journey through Brighton's haunted past, we'll delve into the eerie tales of these 3 restless spirits, prepared to be captivated by stories that blur the line between history and the paranormal, where every shadow may conceal a lingering presence, and every tale leaves you questioning the unknown. Let us step into the dimly lit corridors of Brighton's ghostly lore and discover what waits in the dark. On a misty evening in Brighton, where the cobblestone streets of the lanes whisper with the echoes of centuries past, an unsettling presence lingers. Locals and visitors alike speak in hushed tones of the Blue Nun, a tragic and tormented spirit bound to this labyrinth of medieval alleyways. She is not just a tale to chill the spine. Her sorrowful figure has been seen wandering between Black Lion Street and Middle Street, particularly near the old Black Lion pub. The story of the Blue Nun is as old as the stones beneath your feet. Legend has it that she was a nun of a local order, pure and devoted, until she succumbed to a forbidden love affair with a fisherman from the nearby shore. When her secret was discovered, her punishment was as cruel as it was final. She was bricked alive behind a cold stone wall, left to perish in silence. But death was not the end of her suffering. Her spirit remained, restless and grieving, bound to the streets she once walked. Witnesses describe her appearance as both haunting and heartbreaking. Some say her face is as blue as the cold grip of death, as though asphyxiated by her despair. Others speak of her wearing a blue habit or glowing faintly with an eerie, ethereal light. But it's her demeanor that unsettles most. A woman in distress, her anguish palpable, her presence chilling. One of the most notable sightings occurred in 2009, when a Japanese tourist wandering the quiet lanes near the Black Lion pub encountered her. At first, the tourist thought she saw a vagrant stepping from a doorway, but as she drew closer, the figure dissolved into the mist before her eyes. The tourist's terrified screams pierced the night, leaving bystanders to wonder if the ghostly nun had returned once more. Each sighting carries the same essence. A fleeting figure glimpsed in the corner of the eye, a sudden chill in the air, and the overwhelming sense of sorrow. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, wandering the lanes after dusk, you may just feel her spectral presence. A silent reminder of forbidden love, cruel fate, and a story that refuses to fade with time. Beware, for the Blue Nun's sorrow is not confined to legend. She walks these streets still, her ghostly figure a testament to the secrets and shadows Brighton's history holds. Would you dare to cross her path? Another local story, which is centuries old but shows no signs of disappearing, comes from an area of modern development in West Hove, known as Hangleton. The clue to Hangleton's dark past lies in its name. The area was once home to a large local gallows and a number of gibbets. Indeed, Alfred Lord Tennyson wrote a poem inspired by the hideous sight that confronted him as he traveled along an adjacent road in a horse-drawn carriage. After a victim had been dispatched by the hangman's noose, he or she would be bundled into a gibbet, a body-sized cage, which would be hoisted up a tall pole and left on display. The corpses would be left to rot in public. Their decrepit remains would decompose and fall in pieces to the ground, where they would be consumed by crows, magpies, and ravens. To this day, Hangleton Valley plays host to an unusually large population of magpies and crows. It is also one of the few places in Sussex where you may still see a wild raven. The birds aren't the only reminder we have of the once reviled slaughter place that formerly defined Hangleton. A significant part of the area is said to be visited by the Hangman of Hangleton, a ghost that is reported to roam the stretch of Hangleton Road that runs from Old Shoreham Road to the junction with Hangleton Way. Interestingly, all recent reported sightings involved witnesses claiming to see the entity outside, whilst they are inside, looking through a window. The hangman is described as being tall and broadly built, wearing dirty, tattered clothes, including a piece of black cloth tied around his head like an unattached hood. He is also said to either carry a staff or have a false wooden leg. Some reports have included details such as a dead eye, yellow teeth, greasy and pitted skin, and dirty, matted hair. Nearly all reports since the 1930s have followed a similar sequence of events. The witness hears a loud thud, followed by a persistent and loud tapping noise coming from outside. On inspection, the witness sees the entity. It initially appears unaware of being watched, but that soon changes as he catches hold of the witness's gaze with a sudden turn. Seconds later, the entity is said to vanish from sight. Local folklore names the hangman as Thomas Kipper, who was said to have been hangman at the site in the 17th century. He was particularly sadistic, choosing to hang his victims in a manner that would always take hours to deliver the condemned to death. He is also rumored to have instructed the caging of bodies that continued to show signs of life, with claims that some of the recently deceased would revive inside the gibbet, but be left to starve and rot. Kipper is said to have been a particularly brutal soul in all aspects of his life. He was accused of murder twice without it ever being proved. He was eventually accused of battering to death his neighbor, a prominent blacksmith, during argument. This time, he was successfully prosecuted and found guilty. He was sentenced to death and hanged at Hangleton, ironically becoming the first execution of his successor, Francis Guy. Black Belly is a particularly unpleasant apparition, reported to inhabit a large area surrounding Churchill Square shopping center in central Brighton. We have to be careful about what we say regarding sightings inside Churchill Square itself. As far as we know, there have been no sightings within the public areas of the shopping center. It is thought that Black Belly is a heritage ghost. He is a leftover from the Georgian houses that used to stand where Churchill Square stands today. Black Belly is the name that has been attributed to the apparition locally since the 1960s. It was first used by the out-of-town contractors who were brought in to demolish the old houses and construct the first Churchill Square shopping center. It is possible that Black Belly is the same apparition as a ghost called Angry Mick, associated with Grenville Place, one of the streets demolished to make way for Churchill Square. A tale from 1911 describes an incident in which 8 residents of Grenville Place claim to have witnessed an aggressive apparition. Black Belly is said to appear to witnesses in their side vision. Initially, most witnesses are unconcerned. The entity appears so real that it is mistaken for a living person. However, when witnesses bring their full sight on the apparition, they become aware that it is hovering a couple of inches from the floor. The figure is said to be that of a large, bald man in his late 50s to early 60s. He is wearing a shirt which has come open at the bottom, exposing a large, bloated, bruised stomach. When brought into full sight, the entity is reported to begin wailing hysterically, then charge at the witness in a strangely motionless way, only to disappear when feet away. The most recent credible sighting involved a local telecoms engineer who went as far as reporting the incident to the police, being uncertain of his own mind and unsure whether he had seen a ghost or a madman. Surveillance videos showed a terrified young man reacting to some threat and fleeing from something. But no apparition was recorded. As we bid farewell to this chilling glimpse into Brighton's haunted past, remember that the city holds many more secrets waiting to be uncovered. Each ghostly tale weaves a thread into the tapestry of history, reminding us that the echoes of the past are never truly silent. Will you dare to seek out the spectral figures that linger in the shadows? Or will you let their stories haunt your imagination? Either way, the journey has only just begun.